Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson, a World Alternative Media here, and it gets exhausting listening to TV doctors lecture us on what we're supposed to think or do, especially when it comes to medical issues, because obviously most TV doctors are in no way the type of doctor that you're going to see to get a checkup. But I do want to go into some of this recent news because I think they're actually being attacked unjustly by the media in these cases. As this Como News article says, caught in a video mashup, Drew Pinsky apologizes for virus comments, and he basically said that, you know, it's being overblown. The issue of coronavirus is being overblown, which is interesting because that's what seriously the majority of people are saying these days. But of course, he gets in a bunch of trouble and he ends up apologizing, which the apology was super lame. But this isn't the only thing. Obviously, Dr. Phil and Dr. Oz are also getting caught up in a lot of trouble lately regarding coronavirus as well. And Dr. Oz, for all the wrong reasons, he's saying that we should open up public schools again because, you know, minimal people will die. You'll see more people die, but at least kids will get to their public indoctrination camp, which I'm definitely not for. But here's the thing. With Dr. Phil is someone that, again, I have never been a fan of for many, many reasons. But he's getting unjustly attacked here. As it says, Dr. Phil slammed for saying shutdowns deadlier than COVID-19. People's lives are being destroyed. And as it says, celebrity psychologist Phil McGraw is facing a wave of criticism after he claimed on Fox News that the statewide shutdowns due to the coronavirus are more deadly than the virus itself. Well, that's a fact, but continuing on here, it says, Mr. McGraw, better known as Dr. Phil, appeared on the Ingram Angle Thursday to discuss how anxiety and depression are affecting Americans as they isolate themselves in their homes. And I quote, "This is invisible," he said. "I can't show you an x-ray of depression. I can't show you an x-ray of anxiety, but the fact of the matter is, the longer this lockdown goes on, the more vulnerable people get. And it's like there's a tipping point," he continued. "There's a point at which people start having enough problems in lockdown that it will actually create more destruction and actually more deaths across time than the actual virus will itself." Mr. McGraw compared deaths from the coronavirus to automobile accidents, smoking-related deaths, and swimming pool deaths. But we don't shut down the country for that, he argued. And I quote, "The fallout is going to last for years because people's lives are being destroyed," he said. "People that suffer from loneliness, they become 29% more likely to have coronary artery disease, 32% more likely to have strokes or die, 40% more likely to have dementia if they're in that age group," he continued. So it's not that it's psychological. Their bodies actually start breaking down. And I quote, "So we think we're protecting people's lives by keeping them locked up," he said. "You keep them locked up long enough, there's a paradoxical effect. You actually destroy more lives than you do by letting them go out and protect themselves and opt into their lives to fight for what they believe in." And of course, Dr. Phil has been ransacked and just attacked by the mainstream media because of these statements. And it really not just, look, he didn't go as far as I would go, but as far as dementia goes, that's 100% the case. I do know, I have a family member who has been losing her ability to cognitively, comprehend her surroundings. And since this has been happening and she's locked up in a senior's home, it's getting unbelievably worse rapidly. But that's not all. I mean, look, as far as depression goes, coronary illness, all that kind of stuff, even some of the top doctors in the country right now are saying that the fact of the matter is this shutdown isn't actually stopping the coronavirus. It's, as a matter of fact, prolonging it, which makes a possibility of catching it far worse. On top of that, it's one of the biggest infringements of free will in the history of the world by governments. And it causes much worse problems than that, a global depression. And we are entering into the worst depression in the history of the world, and that will kill way more people than the coronavirus will. And it's interesting because I'm not the only one saying that, guys. Even if you are a big fan of Bill Gates is saying that. As this article mentioned from a while ago that I brought up multiple times, did Bill Gates just reveal the real reason behind the lockdowns? And he says himself that The coronavirus hasn't killed or isn't killing as many people as he expected. And then goes on to say millions could potentially die from suicide, drug abuse, lack of medical coverage or treatment, poverty, and lack of food access, on top of other predictable social, medical, and public health problems stemming from the response to COVID-19. And he's essentially saying that there's a good chance that the shutdowns will kill far more people than the coronavirus itself. But then he continues to support the shutdowns. What does that tell you about him? Involved in Event 201, and of course, they did that exercise back in October talking about a global coronavirus pandemic outbreak, which, by the way, is starting to be investigated as having coming from that lab that we've been talking about since December in Wuhan, Wuhan Institute of Virology, which got $3.7 million in grants from the U.S. government to study coronavirus in bats, which is 96% similar to the novel coronavirus we see today. But that's aside from the point. What's interesting about this is that they say these TV doctors, they're not real doctors. Why are they lecturing the country? Well, half of the people that are lecturing the country on this issue aren't real doctors either. They're politicians. They're bureaucrats. And they're a giant form, as Dr. Ron Paul explains regarding Dr. Fauci, just the epitome of bureaucracy and corporatism. So we have this obvious hypocrisy coming from the media again. They'll believe the doctors that are tied in with the government that aren't real doctors either when they say everyone needs to give up their freedoms. But if someone contradicts that, then they are a quote-unquote denier, and they get all the Holocaust connotations with it, which is sick and demented and wrong in every possible way. And obviously, again, I'm not saying you should listen to Dr. Oz especially. You shouldn't listen to people like Dr. Phil or Dr. Drew. Seriously, they're just celebrities on TV, but so are the politicians. Do you know how often I hear someone say, I'm a fan of that politician, I'm not a fan of that politician? Why are you having fandom when it comes to the organized crime racket controlling you? But anyway, I do want to mention that even this so-called expert, Dr. Fauci, has been caught countless times on camera contradicting himself, saying it won't kill as many people. Oh, it's going to kill millions of people. We aren't planning on opening the country until the last coronavirus patient is gone. But that could take years. But then in another way, he said maybe even in May we can open. He's contradicting himself in every single way. And again, a guy entrenched in bureaucracy and funded by Bill Gates. Is this the person that we are going to be listening to? And someone that I've been listening to, because he's actually an expert in this and has 4 degrees from MIT and was the inventor of email, is Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai. And as this article says, fake views. A YouTube conspiracy video suggesting Dr. Fauci is part of the deep state has been seen 6 million times in a week. And of course, they're talking about one clip out of a vast interview that Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai did regarding the medical issues behind coronavirus. And look at this picture they cut out. Of course, they took a picture of him in mid-sentence with his eyes nearly blinked in order to what a trash. The sun is complete trash, by the way. But of course, we interviewed Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai. There's a better shot of him paused on World Alternative Media just over a week ago, and the guy is absolutely brilliant. If you haven't seen our full exclusive interview with Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai at World Alternative Media, I highly recommend you do so. Very, very interesting guy, and obviously he's running for Senate right now at ShivaForSenate.com. Anyway, it's just interesting to see how the news picks and chooses what they say is propaganda and what isn't. They're literally a wing of the government. They've been exposed as that, and in Canada, they're literally still calling themselves a wing of the government in the case of CBC News, which is state-run media. And then they attack RT, Russia Today, as state-run media. It's like, well, but what about you guys? Well, what about Operation Mockingbird? All this kind of stuff. But anyway, it's really, really rich to see TV doctors lecture the country. It's even more rich to see the news that calls them BS when they say something they don't agree with, but awesome when they say something they agree with. It's rich to see that media enterprise still putting on TV fake doctors who know nothing about immunology, know nothing about virology, know nothing about neurology, know nothing about the spread of illnesses. I mean, when you have the media that's trashing all these so-called fake doctors, while some anchor on TV who's reading a script that someone else wrote that was certified and qualified by the CDC, which is a direct arm of both the government and a private enterprise with the CDC Foundation, which works with big pharma and lobbies the government. When you have these guys reading the script and then saying that there's this way and that way to kill the virus, which shows they know nothing about viruses because the virus is already dead to begin with. When viruses enter your body isn't fighting off the virus, your body begins fighting itself, and that's symptoms of something like coronavirus, and that is quantified by any virologist. When you have these guys who don't even know what a virus is lecturing the world on what they should do, which then leads to a massive global depression, possibly 500 million conservatively, a billion not so conservatively, worldwide jobs lost, possibly 60 to 90 million jobs lost in the US alone. 43% of those businesses say they won't be able to come back after all of this, and probably a lot more of them won't. They shut down all the small businesses and prop up the big businesses. They say the small businesses spread germs, but Walmart doesn't. They say that, surfing in the ocean, the vast ocean, isn't social distancing, but going to Walmart is. When they say that essentially you need to stay in your home with a group of people for possibly as much as 2 years in some cases. In the UK and parts of the US, they've been saying that. But going to Walmart's okay. Again, wings of the government, government monopolization. It is criminal what we're dealing with today. And the same government that's trying to enforce vaccines so you can't go anywhere and have a real ID, so that you have this ID tied to your facial recognition, tied to a social credit score, like China's technocratic dictatorship, fascio communism at its worst. In order to go anywhere, you're going to need this, and you need to be certified as someone who's had the vaccine for a virus. And then they're trying to push a centrally planned cashless society and based on legal tender laws, so that your money is never owned by you. You can't run on the bank. They can do bail-ins and take most of your money and promise almost nothing back in depositor insurance. I mean, guys, Dr. Phil is not wrong when he says that the shutdowns are far worse than the actual illness. The illness is terrible, and it's bioengineered, clearly, in a lab in Wuhan, which got all that money from the U.S. government, which is very suspect to say the least. But with that said, it failed at spreading to the degree that they thought it would. Bill Gates has admitted that. Dr. Fauci has admitted that the virus has not spread to the extent they thought it would previously. And now they're just grasping at straws in any way to, gain more control over the populace. And so many people are laying down and saying, okay, please take my freedom. And they say I'm fear-mongering. We're literally in the midst of a global depression, and that's going to last 10, 15 years for the average person to recover from, while banks get big bailouts that cost the price of living to skyrocket for the average person, for a loaf of bread to skyrocket. And it's going to cause more divide, which is great for government because they watch us clash against each other and ignore the real enemy, them, the organized crime racket. And then we see people fighting over food. We see people breaking into homes. We see crime skyrocketing. We see people desperate and dependent on government because they have nowhere else to go, and they've been put in that situation. We see the continuation of indoctrination camps we call public schools. We see the continuation of indoctrination medias and propaganda machines, arms of the government like the mainstream media, while we see sites like mine, like this video, shut down for talking about this issue, just having an alternative take on this insanity that's gripped the world. I mean, think about it, guys. Martial law, forced into your homes, global economic crash, and a pandemic that was bioengineered clearly. Why would you take that anymore? And besides, again, if you haven't already, hit the like button on this video, because they're literally just deleting channels for talking about this right now. They're deleting videos left and right for talking about this. So we need your help more than ever to combat this absolute propagandized insanity that demonizes us for daring to talk about it. Like, we're killing old people for talking about this. One of the studies I went over the other day, I got in trouble for because it mentioned, and it was from Johns Hopkins Institute, which was involved in Event 201 and all this pre-planning with Bill Gates leading up to this, by the way. And even they said that the numbers are way lower than expected, and we reported on it. And in the study, it said that, old people are more likely to die from coronavirus. Well, yeah, old people are more likely to die from literally everything that's on this planet. So how is that an appropriate stat? That's just, it goes without saying. And I got in trouble for saying that. And I'm like, why? That's a fact. Since when is it strange or abnormal that someone 80 or older is more likely to die from an illness than someone at the age of 25? Anyway, I really appreciate everyone joining us today. We'll be continuing to report on all this insanity. Check the links below. Join our new newsletter at www.iamband.com and check out GoFundMe, Subscribe Star, Patreon. Just $1 or more a month helps keep independent media alive against this insanity. We are on float.app, that's flote.app, and at Josh Sigurdson as well as at Wham. It takes 2 seconds to sign up, guys. Go join us on there because that's where we will be posting videos and posts when we inevitably get taken down by YouTube for even talking about this. We're being attacked big time, and it's never been more important to get the truth out there. Anyway, appreciate everyone joining me, and until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change. Like what you see here, don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon, Subscribe Star. We really can't do it without you. We've been so insanely shadow banned, about 90% at this point, and 95% demonetized. As Susan Wojcicki, the CEO of YouTube, comes in and says that she is shutting down quote-unquote controversial content and cutting out the views on this controversial content by 70%. She's been bragging about it. We need your help more than ever in this battle for truth in information. You guys are what keeps us alive, so we really appreciate just even $1 a month makes a huge difference. If everyone could give just $1 a month, we wouldn't even have to worry about competing against the mainstream propaganda networks. You can also donate to our Bitcoin address on the screen for you to scan if you please, as well as in the comments and description. Liking and sharing makes a big difference as well, and finding us on alternative social media platforms like float.app, that's flote.app, makes a huge difference. We're at Josh Sigurdson as well as at Wham. Float is replacing Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Tumblr, Reddit, and Patreon all in one with encrypted private messaging, and of course monetization on videos for creators, live streams with super chats in crypto, and most of all, no algorithm, because at the end of the day, it's all about reach, guys. This is all about actually reaching people with the message and waking up the public. You can also find us on Instagram, Twitter, Minds, BitChute, all sorts of different platforms. Try to follow us on as many things as possible, because very soon this channel will very likely just be completely deleted from YouTube, and you'll never see us again, and you'll be stuck with only the mainstream networks. Also, come on out and see us at Anarcho Vegas 2020 in Las Vegas, Nevada in July, where such speakers such as G. Edward Griffin and many others will be speaking. You could use promo code WHAM on your VIP tickets and save 10%, as well as buy extremely cheap tickets for just $20.20. You won't find a cheaper conference than this with such amazing names. Check anarchovegas.com for more information on that. We hope to see you out there. And anyway, I really appreciate all of you guys joining us. You make it possible for us to survive in this volatile, propagandized climate. Until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.